John, you talked a lot about this game being one where you could learn a great deal about your team. I'm curious what you learned, especially in terms of mental toughness and guys you can count on down the stretch.
I'm going to watch the tape, and I usually learn more from the tape than I do just watching the game because I'm in a dogfight and very, very rarely say anything to the officials or anything, but everything else I'm in a dogfight out there, and so I'll miss a lot of stuff. But let me start by saying that the job Buzz is doing, what I love about him as a coach, they're playing a way they have to play to win. It's different than we're playing. We were posting, they were driving and shooting threes. And defensively, you know, he was switching it up, going some man, going some zone, and you know, I like the fact that we had to go against his team, well coached. You know, I expected them to press a little bit more. But I can see that, you know, he did the right thing for his team. They had a chance to win, really, the whole game. I mean, but terrific players, you know, still made 10 threes on us. And we made 11 on them. How about that? We don't shoot that many threes. We shot 22. Wow.
Cal, is this the best game you've ever had by a player in sunglasses? And,
he was really good.
Let me just say kind of what was going on.
There were a couple things. I thought Quad A, I put him in quick because I like the rotation with him starting and Shea coming off the bench. It's just a better rotation for our team. He's playing the way I want him to play, which is score baskets, kid. Score baskets, that's what you do. But by doing that, he's getting 5 assists in 1 turn. So instead of being like, watch me with the ball and bouncing it 12 times, he's either trying to score it, and if you stop him from scoring it, he'll give it to somebody because he's a good enough passer. I thought Shea was good today. Gwenyon, 9 rebounds today, was really good. I thought Hami was good today. Look, individual players are getting better. Nick struggled, Sasha struggled, but that's okay. They're not machines. They're not going to be great every night out. But you know, you saw that I put in a press. That's what I worked on last week. It was okay for 3 days work. Now we're going to have another 4 days and try to add some stuff to it. That's my old press from 10 years ago. When you've been doing this 40 years, you can go reach back in the basket 20 years ago and come up with something you use that still can work. So,
John, they shot 58%.
Yeah, it was pretty good defense.
How do you factor that in, and how do you take, account for this game?
If we didn't turn them over, they win the game. Then you look and say, well, how'd you get them turned over? Probably the press more than anything else. If they don't turn it over, they beat us. And again, I'm going to have to look at exactly what they were doing, but they're like a typical team that comes into this building that has talent, that plays loose. They had nothing to lose, and that's how they played. They only made 3 threes in the second half. One was the last 3 thrown up the court, and one was where Gwenyon didn't know the guy was standing right next to him. He made a 3. So from that, they made 1. But they made 3 threes in the second half compared to what they did to us in the first half. You know, we had talked about tough 2s and not giving up 3s, and we gave up a bunch. But it's what a young team does.
Coach, what was the difference in the 3-point defense in the second half? Why were you more effective then?
I told them, if you don't run through, I'm taking you out. So if I see a guy go with a 3-point shooter and not run through him, not the foul, just make him bounce the ball, you're out. I'm taking you out. That's mean, I know. Probably it's a mean thing to say, take a guy out every time he gives a guy a 3. They're trying to win.
John, are the sunglasses now mandatory for Quad A going forward?
I don't know if they're mandatory, but just so you know, because I kind of felt bad for him, I was going to wear sunglasses today too. I told the team I was going to, I thought if he has to do it, I'll do it with him. We'll both have sunglasses, but I didn't want to be it would have been a national story, and there he is, he wears jeans on the plane, this bum. I mean, this guy, who does he think he is? He thinks he's at the beach. Who is this guy? But that's why I didn't do it. Yes?
John, could you talk about Hami's shooting today?
Shooting much better. He's working at it. He's working at it. Kevin Knox, I told him after the game, I wanted Kevin for 3 or 4 straight times, and it was unbelievable. And then you look at me and say, well, you went away from him after that. Well, he had played 7 straight minutes, and I told him I should have. What I normally do is just keep going. If that guy gets it going, he'll get it 15 straight times. But I didn't, because this is not a normal team for me. This is all freshmen. So then I shifted, I went at PJ a little bit. And I'm forcing him to make baskets, make fouls. He's got to be that guy for us. And then I like Hami away from the ball as a secondary scorer, because he gets baskets that way as well as anybody. But it was, thought we rebounded a little bit better. Nick still, we didn't two-hand rebound. I mean, Nick went after the ball one hand probably 5 times. It cost him 5 rebounds. So he could have had, I don't see him on here. He had 6. He could have had 11 or 12 rebounds. And he went after balls with one hand. He didn't bring any of them in. Some of them were late that almost cost us.
John, why is a press you dusted off from 10 years ago best for this particular team?
Because I got to figure out something that disrupts the game. And something that they don't get into a rhythm. A zone normally is going to get a team to make 8-10 passes. If you want to speed up a game, how do you do that and be disruptive? You either trap out of a zone or trap out of a man or press. And this is a simple, it's not that hard a press, but it's one that I think could be effective for this team. Part of it is when the front line of your press is 6'9" and 6'6", and that guard's looking at that, and you put interceptor in the middle and the other guy's 6'9", and you got an interceptor deep who's 7 foot, Nick, who can come up with balls, kind of makes you think, like, what are we doing? Now, what they did, and again, Buzz was pretty smart. He said, look, we're putting shooters in the deep corners, throw it to anybody, just get rid of it, and we're going to find somebody in the corners, which is what they started doing in the first half, at the end of the first half.
What was it about the way Tech defended you that led to those 11 3-pointers and the 22 3-point attempts? Well,
they're a 3-point shooting team and a fast team. Man, did they start the game fast? I mean, I'm sitting here saying, are they this fast the whole game? We're more of a post-up team. So now when we throw it in there, you got to make choices. If we can score on you're going to trap. You're going to do something. And the minute you trap, it should open up our shooters. Now, what was happening is we couldn't get Nick to dive. So Nick's man was going to double team, and Nick wanted a jump shot instead of that run to the basket. When Wenyan ran to the basket, that's when Hami got shots. That's when PJ got shots. It's, you just need that guy out of there. But I think that's what did it and where we got most of the threes.